think a new team has arrived in the AFC West, and their name is the Los Angeles Chargers.
Yeah.
Herbert stops, launches deep. Jalen Guyton, he's got it!
Herbert fires open, making the grab. Mike Williams down the sideline. On the 17-yard line, look out again. Carr, intercepted.
What's up? This is the Shock Therapy Podcast brought to you by the Say It Again Network. We got some special guests here. We got our guy, Gabby. Zach, as always, is my co-host. How you doing, Gabby?
You know, I'm living the dream, man. Having a good time. Just happy to be here.
So for anybody who's kind of wondering who this guy is, he's not that important, but he is a friend of mine, somebody I used to work with back when I was a financial advisor. He's now living in dangerous territories up in Kansas City, but he's a Charger fan. Tell me a little bit about your fandom and just kind of how you became a fan of the Chargers.
Look, I was born and raised in San Diego. I got to really enjoy good football. Growing up, one of my first games I got to watch was a USC game. And I was nothing to do, but it was Reggie Bush. And that's when my parents are, they're from overseas, so they didn't know what football was. It was something that was on TV. They weren't like, hey, come watch the game with us. So I had to grow it on my own. That was one of the first times I watched. But I remember always watching the Chargers games though. And LT was just running. And then it was wild watching. We had Breeze, and then we had Gates, and then we had Rivers, and all these players started coming together, and it was like, wow, this is fun to watch. And then you learn the history. There's Junior Seau, who's from San Diego. That makes it cooler. Legends are coming from the city, and we have a great team. And at the time we did. And it was fun, just watching that over and over again. And then I just grew more into being a Chargers fan. And, my best friends are Chargers fans. So we all grew up watching the games on Sundays at his dad's house and barbecuing, eating food, just having fun.
That's awesome, man. Your Twitter's Flabby Jabby Gabby.
Yeah. I used to get called Flappy a lot. I was bigger, and then it rhymed, and I never changed it.
Yeah, I gotcha. You played football in high school, right?
Yeah, no, football was my main sport. I loved football.
So what position you play? I'm just curious.
Senior year, I played left tackle and DN, and then junior year, I played tight end and DN.
Well, I'm glad to have you on.
And you said San Diego. What part of San Diego did you grow up?
I was born in Claremont, but I was raised in Mira Mesa. Mira Mesa was where I was from.
So what? High school. You said what high school?
Mira Mesa High School.
Mira Mesa. Okay.
Yeah. We were actually, I think we were the last team. Sadly, we lost, but got to play on Qualcomm Stadium, last high school team.
Fun.
We played for the CIF title my senior year, and us First Vista High School, and we were the last teams to ever play. We were the last game because we were the biggest one, and we were the last team to play on Qualcomm as a high school.
Well, Claremont's a little hub, too, of football players. Did you play Pop Warner at all?
No, I didn't play any Pop Warner, and not
just
until I got
straight to high school.
When I got to Mira Mesa, I played Pop Warner. So I left Mira Mesa at like 8 years old, or Claremont at 8 years old. So Mira Mesa is really where I grew up. But Mira Mesa has all of the gangsters. I mean, Damian Williams, the running back for the Chiefs, that should have won MVP that year. He's from Mira Mesa High School. You have Ricky Seals. You have Tony Jefferson. There's a list of just
football. It's a hotbed for sure.
We have a lot of good football players at our school.
All of Southern California really is, though. I mean, you take a look at San Diego's got a lot of players, but just all Southern California from LA down is just a hub for players.
Another fun fact is Michael Pittman Sr. went to my high school.
Fun fact.
He played running back for Mira Mesa, and then so did Nate Chandler, who's also in the NFL. So played for the Panthers when they went to the Super Bowl. So we have a good hub down there.
Well, and Reggie Bush went to Helix. There's a lot of good.
Alex Smith was his quarterback.
Yeah, that was a good team.
That's a pretty good duo
players
in high school.
Well, let's
All right.
get into this Jaguars game. There's a lot that ended up happening. I mean, first kind of thing you got to talk about is all the injuries that are just piling up. Some like really scary ones. Losing Rashawn Slater, Joey Bosa just went on IR. Jalen Guyton tore his ACL. You got other guys who are just kind of still banged up. Looking across the Chargers injury report, I guess we'll get into it a little bit more later, but Keenan Allen is returning to practice. Justin Herbert still has a rib injury. J.C. Jackson is expected to come back and start practicing, as well as Corey Linsley and Donald Parham. But then you lose those guys to IR. I'm really interested, and we'll get into this a little bit more later, but Jamaree Salyer is going to be playing left tackle for the Chargers in week 4. I think that's something everybody can get behind. Everybody wants to see Jamaree Salyer and see what he's got going, but the game in itself, I mean, the injuries to core really like our superstar players, they're like across the board all over this place. It's a little nerve-wracking. I don't know. What are your thoughts on it, Zach? Do we have enough injuries to kind of overcome, at least in the short term?
What do you mean? I'm sorry. I don't really follow the question.
Just like the injuries, like, do you think, how concerned are you with all of these injuries that are piling up, and kind of where is it gonna go from here? I mean, can we fight back from this? I mean, there's some key players.
Absolutely. I mean, yeah, it's demoralizing, right? And I think you saw it in the players, just one guy after another, and we weren't 100% healthy going in. So that obviously takes a toll. But that's why you build a complete roster. We've been talking about it all offseason. We need a complete team. I thought we had a third of a team last year. We had a really good offense. You got to build a full roster. Things like this happen. It's a long season. We have an extra game now, 17-game regular season. Things like this happen. It's kind of comes with the territory. It's unfortunate. Obviously, you want everyone to be 100% healthy all the time. It's just not the reality. And so it's tough. It hurts. I think at the end of the day, you got to, take a step back and realize where we're at. For the first time in like 10 years, we have a legit chance to win a division title. The Chiefs are human. They're the most beatable that they've ever been in the last 10 years. Broncos, I think me and you, Tyler, were talking about it a lot. There's so much new. They're going to be going through some growing pains. I think you're seeing it now. Until they get it all together, I'm not scared of them. The Raiders are 0-3. I think they're a much more talented team than their record suggests. But still, at the end of the day,
worst record in the NFL, though.
They're 0-3. So, right, you got to. We could talk about it all we want, but you got to go out there, execute, play fourth quarters, which I don't think we've done yet. I think the doom and gloom season's over. Let's tank for Bryce Perkins. That's for weak fan bases. We got something to rally around. It is wide open. There's a lot more football yet to be played, and I think there's enough talent in-house to get it done to make a playoff run. We just got to start clicking, because right now I think we've had I'll give us 3 good quarters. I think the first 3 quarters of the Raiders games were really good, and since then I don't recognize this Charger team. There's a lot of just unfamiliarity. I don't recognize these guys right now.
Well, there's nothing better than getting blown out and having something to play for, to kind of have that self-check, that realization that maybe we're really good on paper, but we still got to come together as a team. But getting beat down 38-10 by the Jaguars, who never, ever do that to anybody, it's kind of like a gut-wrenching, like a kick in the stomach, and kind of knock the air out and let you deflate a little bit, come back down to reality. Gabby, kind of what did you see from the game? I mean, I know you watched it, and what is it that kind of like led to this just downfall that the Chargers really saw on Sunday?
I mean, we don't know what these players deal with on a daily basis. Like, it could be other issues that could have been all combined, but I think a lot of it showed deflation from the Chiefs' loss. And I hate to say it, but then usually you lose on a Sunday and you have your regular week. They lost on a Thursday and have all this extra time to just like ponder. Like, it was either going to be we're going to come out and whip their butts, or they were going to come out and flat. And they all just I feel like it looked like they pondered it for so long. Nobody came out with effort. I mean, yeah, our main guys did their thing. Joey and all those guys playing, when they were playing hard, but it just seemed so dead. Offense, I told my buddy was over watching the game with me. I said, like, after the first 2 or 3 drives, I was like, this is going to be a slow and painful death. We're going to lose this game because we can't do anything. It showed on every aspect of football. We couldn't run. We couldn't pass. We start running, we get some yards, and we switch to a full pass game. Then on defense, we get a stop, third down, stop, third down. Watch Trevor Lawrence dice us up. And then on special teams played their part, but it was just deflated. It was embarrassing. I was bored. I was like, there's nothing that wants me to watch. My buddy was like, why don't you just turn it off? I was like, I can't.
I was
I
bored
have to
too.
watch this, but I was just bored. I would have rather just played video games or watch TV.
I mean, it's one of those games, like you come out the gate with 2 4-and-outs on the offensive side of the ball. I mean, that right there is leading up to a really slow game. It didn't get any better. The Chargers ran 12 times for 26 yards. Like, that is atrocious. Nothing getting going on the ground game. And I think this is going to be a good week to kind of pick that back up. But the Chargers run game has been absolutely atrocious. Sony Michel, 5 carries, 22 yards. Austin Eckler, 4 carries, 5 yards. Justin Herbert had a scramble for 7 yards, and that was the high of the day. I mean, even Joshua Kelly and DeAndre Carter, the only other 2 players that picked up any carries, both went for negative yards. Two rushes, -8 yards. What is going on here? And it's terrible to see because it's part of the reason why our offense is lacking so much is there is no threat on the ground at all, even getting behind kind of quickly. And then I was talking on Twitter, like I posted a ton of videos of just play after play after play, and the Chargers got pressed and man, like a lot. Like the Jaguars played a lot of man coverage. The Chargers had no answer for it because they run so many of these spacing concepts. Zach, with the play calling and that becoming an issue for a 3rd week in a row, like what's got to give here? Like what is the answer to kind of fixing these struggles with the offensive play calling? Because people are already calling for jobs. I mean, the fan base is hurt. They're angry and they want change.
Well, and that's my biggest problem, I think, with the play calling is at the first 2 weeks. We scored first drive. That opening drive has been a staple of the Lombardi era, if you will. That first drive, we look really good most of the time. And then it kind of just tails off. And so it seems to me that the halftime Lombardi does not make any type of in-game adjustments at all. He rocks in with a game plan, and it kind of works at first. And then you kind of tail it off, and that's why we've been completely blown out in the 4th quarter this year, because he doesn't change anything as the game goes on. Like the defense shows you, they give you little glimpses of how you can beat them, and Lombardi's just blind to it. So I feel like maybe it's just young, immaturity from a coordinator standpoint. There needs to be some evolution in his game, because I think the initial game plan, it makes sense, but there's no adaptation. Like when the defense comes out and gives us different looks that we're not expecting. I'm talking about the Ravens. I'm talking about the Patriots last year. There's just no adjustment, and he continues to do the same thing. It's like that, it doesn't work. So there needs to be some type of, adjustment in game, because not everything you write out game planning going into it is going to work. And sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. There needs to be some adaptation, and I just don't see that from him right now.
No, you're right, because you watch this. I sit here and I go to my friend's house, watch a Chiefs game with them before our game starts. And you watch Andy Reid call these plays. He is trying to kill you. He is trying to end your life as a coach. And the same goes for the Bills. Wherever Tom Brady's at, they want to ruin your day. Mm-hmm. And as a Chargers fan, like as a Chiefs, watching the Chiefs fans, if they're losing by 25, they are still like, I know we're going to play football. We could be up by 25, and I hate it that I have to say it, but I am so nervous up by 25, no matter what. Like I'm still. They're like
the Chargers want to play close games. They're right.
Yeah.
They're like,
I'm more comfortable down 6.
I'm sitting there rocking like something's gonna happen. I'm gonna get a buzz on my phone. Like something's gonna happen. I'm not paying attention, and boom, pick 6, and then there goes. Or now we're losing by 10 somehow.
Yeah.
Because we run the clock out with 12 minutes in the second quarter.
Over the last couple of years, like how fast have we gotten out to a 21-point lead, an 18-point lead, and all of a sudden
It's a one-score game.
It's a one-score game. It's a field goal. I mean, that has been the death of the Chargers since like 2015. I can't think of how many times the Chargers have gotten out to these big leads and just given it back.
It's weak. Well, it's no matter what. It's just no matter what team it is either. Like last year we did it. How many times should we truly should have won? I think it was
out.
5 games where we're up by at least 18, something like that. And now we're just not throwing it and then just run the ball, like run, punt, and then lose. I think as older fans, like the new fans are the ones calling out for the head because that's what Twitter does. Twitter joins with each other because they haven't seen what real fans have seen.
Sure.
We saw the firing of Marty Schottenheimer after going 14-2. The greatest team I've ever. I literally sat there and cried that day, like a grown kid.
You're gonna make me cry now, like.
Grown kid. There's times I would go back and just watch just that season, just highlights of that season. It was so beautiful. And then to fire, and then it watched. I think that's when they cursed us because it's been a steady downfall ever since that day.
It has.
We went to the AFC Championship the next year, but ever since then, it's been the same stuff. Injuries. No one's ever had get a great player, cool, he's hurt. Or get a good season going, boom, something happens. We're 14. Should be 14-2. We're 2-14.
At this point, I think as an organization, we're too nice, and we need to get this killer back in us where we are just comfortable burying teams because we get out to this lead, and then it's just like. It's like our sportsman comes out and it's like, well, maybe we'll let them get like a sympathy touchdown and make them feel better about themselves. No participation trophies. I want to start burying teams because we have the potential and we get out to these leads, bury them.
We have the defense to do it.
Absolutely.
Because those guys, the first half, every game, those guys, Derwin's everywhere. Bosa and Mac everywhere. Tranquil looks.
He looks good.
He looks really good, yeah.
Like a top tier tight end or a linebacker right now. The man's covering tight ends like he should have. He's covering the middle of that field. He's playing good football. But then, we get that lead at half, and then all of a sudden, let's run the ball. Defense is back on the field. Let's run the ball. Defense is back on the field. Now our guys are tired because in that interview today, Derwin, they played 40 snaps in the first half. And he was like, we don't care. But you're tired. 40 snaps.
It does. It hurts. It hurts the team when the offense can't sustain long drives, which is actually kind of what I want to talk about next. So with Keenan Allen out of the lineup, I mean, he's your man beater. He's the guy that forces teams away from playing man. And they have really missed him the last 2.5 weeks because they haven't had that guy to kind of force teams back into some sort of zone coverage because that's your go-to guy when it's man, right? No, there is no route runner like there is Keenan Allen. He totally changes the play calling by Joe Lombardi.
Yeah.
Oh, he would have ate that man up last week. There's no one on that team that would have covered him one-on-one.
No, exactly. And he's really missed. And the player who's replaced him, DeAndre Carter, has played very well.
Absolutely.
And he is a good route runner, but he's not the same third down target type of guy.
He's playing his position. DC is playing what he can do, and that's what's great.
And then it frees up Mike Williams also, right? So the defense, the Jaguars, what they did last week is they shaded coverage. They played man and they shaded coverage over to Mike Williams and made Gerald Everett and DeAndre Carter kind of get those additional targets. Between the two of them, they had 10 targets between DeAndre Carter and Gerald Everett for 56 yards. So it's like it just wasn't working like that. It was just they had 5 receptions on 10 targets for 53 yards. Josh Palmer came alive. Josh Palmer had probably one of his best games as a pro, 6 receptions, 99 yards, but also not a man beater, right? So you're looking at guys. I mean, Mike Williams had 6 targets, 1 reception for a touchdown, but 1 reception. So not having Keenan Allen in your lineup totally changes the entire play calling by Joe Lombardi. And then you're looking at like pressures and things of that nature. Doesn't really matter if you can't get your guys open because nobody was getting open against man coverage.
There was
we don't have man beaters.
There was times Herbert had time. There were some times that Herbert had time to sit in that pocket
He did, and Justin Herbert missed some throws himself.
He did.
He did not have a great game.
No.
Taking a look across his stats, 25 for 45, almost 300 yards, but how much of that
20
was just garbage time?
incompletions. That has to
And we'd have to go back and look to see how many of those incompletions are misses.
sure.
There's a few in there.
There's definitely a few in there, and most of his a quarter of his yardage was a bomb to Jalen Guyton.
Yeah.
54 yards on one play. So if you're really looking at it, completing 50% of his passes for, 250 yards, that's not great, especially when you're throwing the ball 45 times because you're down 30 points in the third and fourth quarter, and it just wasn't working for them. They just can't get things going on the offensive side of the ball. There's no threat to the run game, and it's really I'm really interested to see how play calling changes with Keenan Allen back in the lineup, because you said it yourself. Chargers were rolling through the first 3 quarters of the first game, and then it really died off as soon as Keenan Allen got injured.
And that's interesting because I didn't even put that together. But at those 3 quarters, we look good.
Yeah.
I was so excited. I was like, this is a football team. I've been waiting my whole life for it. And then the injury bug hit us. So beyond just that, where do you guard the Chargers right now? There's really only one thing we can do. We can't really beat you up top. We have guys who can get deep, but it takes some time to get downfield. The run game's unexistent.
We have to play middle game and pray our defense helps us.
Well, it's short to medium, and when you have just those 2 things, that makes it so easy for and you see how they're playing us. Safeties are 15 yards off the ball. That's disrespectful. That's disrespectful.
We know we're not going to go deep.
They know it. They know, and they don't trust the run. We need to instill some fear in some defenses, and Keenan Allen's going to help with that. He's going to be instrumental to this breakthrough that I think we're going to see. But we just need to play some better football, man. Beyond the injuries, I think the biggest thing that stood out to me, the thing that I'm worried about is the effort that Gabby was talking about, the lack of it, because that's hit us last year too, where we just didn't feel like playing and we get beat, or we don't feel like starting a game and then we'll play 2 strong quarters to close out the game. Like playing a good football team, playing a playoff team, that's just not a good recipe. You need to come out strong. You need to finish strong. The effort is kind of what bothers me and what worries me the most about this team right now.
Also, I would say our fourth down decision making. I mean, we had an identity last year.
Yeah.
And I think fans got super pissed at all the fourth downs that we went to go, and we converted a lot of them. But we had an identity last year, and I think you guys scared Staley out of being that guy.
And it seems like we're flipping opposites right now, because last year we put fear in people. We're going to go for it on fourth down, and we're going to get it. But our defense wasn't there to always help us. Now we have this defense that, look, we've got your back if you don't make this fourth down.
I want to see that come back. I want to see the aggressiveness, the aggressive play calling, and the gotta have a moments. And there was times, we were down 25 points at one point, still punting the ball. What are we doing, you guys? Do we want to try to go win this game? Where's our identity at? And then defensively, go ahead, Gabby.
He trusted his defense with one of the worst defense in the league last year. He trusted, because you shows when you go for it on fourth down a lot that not only do you have big balls and just go for it, you trust your defense to back you up if you don't make it.
Yeah, and I think that's what we're missing right now. Going on to the defensive side of the ball, Chargers gave up a lot of yards on the ground, not nearly as bad as they were last season, but 17 carries for James Robinson, 100 yards, 13 carries for 45 for Travis Etienne, 3.5 yards per carry. Overall, they gave up 151 yards on the ground. Granted, 50 of those yards was on one big play. So you're really averaging less than, 4 yards per carry if you don't give up the big play. But I think that you're losing Joey Bosa, right? I think that Kenneth Murray went out for a portion of that game as well. Kenneth Murray looks way better than he did last season. Kenneth Murray looks awesome. But I think that we need to really corral in the run game, and we're going up against the Texans running back. What's his name?
Harris. No,
Damian Harris. Damian Pierce. Pierce, not Harris. Damian Pierce looks good, you guys. Like, I don't know if you guys had a chance to watch him at all. He is a strong, hard runner. He's hungry. And we need to corral that. And you're talking about a revenge game coming up against the Texans. We got our revenge against the Raiders. I mean, this is a bounce back week for sure as well, but we got to corral the running game because I'm not afraid of Davis Mills by any stretch of the imagination.
Pierce is nice, and then you got to talk about the Charger killer who he was last year. Rex Burkhead torched us for like 150 yards.
Oh yeah.
So and that's what they want to do. They want to run the football, and I think consistently, I think we've gotten better, but we're still susceptible to the big play. And those are killers. It really only takes one big run to have a successful game on the ground.
It does. And like you said, like James Robinson, 50 yards on one play. I mean, that was a huge play. That's really what changed the tide of the game.
Yeah. You could see it just so deflating.
It
took a lot out of us.
You straight turn it around. Look at how it started was our offense wasn't getting off the field. We got our defense on the field for their 65th play. You could say all you want. Like, yes, it's not okay to give up that many yards. But I'm looking at the stats right now against the Raiders. I know we didn't give up that many rushing yards. We gave up 64 rushing yards against the Raiders. Why? Because our offense was on the field the whole time.
I mean, the Jaguars had 75 total plays on offense.
You want to look
of course,
why
the defense was gassed.
Our defense did so well against the Raiders and the Chiefs because they got off because our offense was playing football. Yes, we gave up that one. You can go look at the Chargers, the Chiefs running back stats. They had a lot because they had that one big run by Clyde. But besides
that's all it takes, though.
But yeah,
same thing with the Jaguars. One play.
We hold that whole team down because our offense is on the field. The one game our offense is on the field makes our defense look like trash because they are literally playing cat and mouse for 45 minutes of that game.
I mean, you look at if any offense is running 75 plays, you should expect them to score 38 points.
Yeah,
right? Like, if you look at it overall, the Chargers defense did not play bad. They did not give up many big plays. I think overall they kind of limited things as much as they could. But when you let any team get in 75 plays, like on offense, I mean, that was a slow death. That wasn't a fast death.
What was ours on offense?
58, but you think about half of those. I mean, Justin Herbert threw a total of 45 total passes.
Why?
And half of those were incomplete, and that stops the clock.
Why?
Right? So, like,
why even keep? You might as well just stop. Just take him out.
Nah,
I know.
He needs to play.
Like,
he needs to learn from these hard games. He needs to play through these, even though he's injured. We talked about all that last week with the rib blocks and everything like that, but. That was a slow death. Those drives that the Jaguars were running were long drives.
Exactly. And it reminded me of 100% like last year's Houston game. I remember turning that game on and not wanting to watch it because it was just so slow. Nothing was happening. Both three and out, and all of a sudden Texans start taking off and we can't throw a touchdown.
Yeah.
We can't throw a pass. We have Cook looking the other way. And
that was Jerry Cook.
Yeah,
that's.
I remember looking at that like I just told my buddy like, let's go.
Why you got to bring up old shit for?
Yeah,
it hurts. You have to because I'm tired of it because it's the same stuff.
Yeah, it is.
Improvements. We make these improvements every single year. We make these improvements, and it's the same way every year. The same way we lose is it's always we get hurt, we get up by 40, and we lose by 10. It's just annoying. I think. Like, I want to talk crap to all these people here, but we are doing the same thing every single year.
We are.
Yeah,
let's talk about the Texans. You got any closing remarks on this Jaguars game?
Just one thing for our listeners. If you continue, you're going to see 3 grown men cry on this podcast. It's tune it. We're all going to cry at one point. I think we just need to let it out.
Just to run it back to what I was saying, Chiefs had 93 rushing yards in that game. That was off one run was majority of it.
So going across the this is Jaguars. This is not the Houston. Houston's banged up right now too. We can talk about it in a little bit when I get a chance to come back and look at it. But Houston last year embarrassed us.
Oh.
And I kind of want to ask you, Zach, kind of what are you looking for out of this game, and what outside of a win will make this a successful game overall?
Yeah, I'm not looking at the Texans. I'm looking 100% in the Chargers locker room. This is an internal game. I need to see. We're talking about building a championship team. That starts in the center of your chest. That starts with the heart. So I need to see some battle from my guys. I want to see that they are embarrassed for the last 6 quarters that they played, because I am. I don't like what I've seen. So for me, it's really a heart check. Who are we? Are we a team of football players? Or are we got a bunch of guys who get paid to play football? So that's where I'm at. I want to see some football players go out and make some football plays, because I think we have a lot of them in-house. I think we still have a very talented roster, just underperforming across the board. So more than looking across the field, looking at the Texans, I respect them. I do. For me, it's 100% us. We are the biggest. What is it? The biggest deterrent right now is us in-house, the team itself. I'm not really worried about the opponents, because we played the Chiefs to the wire. We beat the Raiders, who I think are a good team, better than 0-3. We did not play football at all against the Jaguars. So I want to see some guys trying to make a statement and trying to build back. I don't know. I want them to prove that they're embarrassed, because I just don't understand. I'm kind of rambling right now, but that's kind of where I'm at. I'm not really worried about the Texans. I'm kind of
Brandon
more worried
Staley
about
always.
us.
Yeah, that's actually, I can bounce off that. So Brandon Staley did say that he's not worried about other teams. He's worried about us, right? Like,
Yeah.
what other teams are doing, what other teams are saying is irrelevant, because this is a team. And he's kind of always like, play your own best football. Don't worry about, the matchups that people are talking about, wanting to see. Don't, worry about us. Let's make sure we focus on us, ourselves, all in, all of that.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's kind of like a key, like, challenge yourself, right? Like, yeah, you're going to play good players across the NFL week after week after week. Even the Texans, who I think have probably one of the worst rosters in the NFL, can beat you.
Yeah, like they did.
They can beat you. And I know that
or tie. They don't have a win, but they might tie us, and I do not like ties.
No. And then you look at across their roster, Davis Mills, Damian Pierce, who's a rookie. Brandon Cooks is the guy that they're throwing 12 to 15 targets a game. But their number 2 and number 3, Nico Collins, was like a 4th-round pick. I have no idea who Chris Moore is. Philip Dorsett's a cast-off, been a cast-off for a while. John Mechie has the cancer thing. He's not playing at all this season. I really do like Brevin Jordan, but he's listed as their number 2 tight end. Farrell Brown.
He didn't practice today either.
Yeah. Laramie Tunsil is like a quality offensive tackle, but you look across the rest of that offensive line, Kenyon Green playing okay for, a 1st-round draft pick at guard. Scott Quisenberry, we think he's kind of a quality backup, maybe not a quality starter. AJ Kane, who played with the Jaguars last season on a horrendous running game, like, AJ Kane's not the answer. Titus Howard people have been making him look silly for a long time. Then going across the defense, Jonathan Grinnard and Jerry Hughes. Jerry Hughes is an old man now. Malik Collins is a good player. Roy Lopez is kind of as a 6th-round draft pick, I guess, playing much better than his kind of draft slot, but he's not somebody I'm afraid of. Christian Kirksey's been a castaway from multiple teams now. Kamu Grieger-Hill at linebacker with Blake Cushman. I mean, outside of Derek Stingley, they got a lot of like high draft picks for, just being a bad team. This is not a good team. I mean, Stingley, you've got Laramie Tunsil, and you've got Brandon Cooks, and that's basically their team in a nutshell. They are not a great team roster-wise. I mean, that whole organization is in dysfunction. There's no reason we don't do what the Jaguars did to us this week, especially because this is the game that kicked us out of playoffs last year. This was it. This is why we didn't make playoffs, is this team last year. And I think that they're worse.
And 2-2. Go ahead, Gabby.
Go ahead.
I'm just going to say 2-2 doable. 1-3 is a hole.
Yeah, that's huge. And we don't have the hardest schedule coming up. I don't want to say every team's good. Every team's the NFL. We don't have the hardest schedule coming up. We have to take advantage of it.
You have to beat the teams you're supposed to beat.
Yeah.
You got
And I think, going back to what we talked about earlier, this is effort. With the loss, it was effort, and I think with a win, it's going to be effort. They just have to have they come out with the right effort. That Raiders game, that Chiefs game effort, we're going to blow them out. They don't have a team that can stop us.
And they're as not healthy as we are.
Well, they're worse.
I mean, looking across their injury report, Blake Cashman was limited in practice. Malik Collins didn't practice. Brandon Cooks didn't practice. They've got Jerry Hughes didn't practice. Brevin Jordan didn't practice. Dameon Pierce is limited, popped up on the injury report with a hip injury. I mean, this team is not at full health. They don't have superstars. They don't have them. They got young guys who are hungry, that's dangerous, but they are lacking stars. We still have more stars with all of the injuries across our team right now.
We don't need to do anything crazy either. We just need to play football. We have a better team. You go one by one. Not one player on their team is better than ours, besides left tackle at this point, because we don't have Rashawn.
And I'm actually really, really excited. I want to touch on that here toward the end, but I'm actually really excited to see that come to play, and I'll talk to you guys about why. But Navis Mills is completing 57% of his passes through 3 games. Dameon Pierce averaging 4 yards a carry. He's got 1 big play that he's credited with. He's got 1 touchdown. Rex Burkhead has 49 yards on 17 carries. So the go-to guy there is Dameon Pierce. Receiving, Brandon Cooks is their biggest threat. 13 receptions, 158 yards with a bad quarterback throwing his way. Nico Collins
13 catches.
Only has 13 catches on 29 targets. Think about that. He's getting
pretty
targeted
crazy.
like a monster. Almost 30 targets, but completing less than 50% of the passes thrown his way. That's embarrassing.
We need to take advantage of the Stingley. Because Stingley covers man. Stingley will travel. So if we have Keenan coming back, we have to take advantage of that. Let him travel with Keenan. And Mike has to have that game.
Actually, that's a matchup I wanted to talk about. So I don't think that Stingley's going to travel with Keenan Allen. What I'm looking forward to, they have a cornerback on their roster by the name of Desmond King who plays primarily in the slot. And we got Keenan Allen who plays in the slot. A lot of fans do not like Desmond King after the way that he ended up leaving, talking trash about the franchise after he left. I mean, this is going to be a fun matchup to watch. I don't think Keenan Allen played Desmond King last year. I think that was one of the I think he had COVID.
Yeah, that's right.
So I am looking so forward to seeing Desmond King get embarrassed. Gotta make it happen though, right? Jalen Petrie is another guy who likes to play in the slot. I think that he probably played his best ball at Baylor in the slot. I know we covered Jalen Petrie. We were both very high on him. It's taken in the 3rd round, I believe. So it's going to be Jalen Petrie and Desmond King from what I've seen on film, on tape. It's going to be Desmond King playing in the slot. They don't want him outside. And they're not going to let Derek Stingley travel with the best slot guy. He's going to play outside, probably on Mike Williams.
See, and that's what makes me nervous. This is what annoys me. Right now, Josh Palmer has to come out and play. Right now, we lost Guyton. And the first thing we do, and I see this on Twitter, and I don't really like responding to it, but so we go and get this dude from Phillies.
John Hightower.
Yep, from their practice squad. Yes, he's probably cheap. We can come in and play our speed guy, right? Why go get him if we have guys on our practice squad? And if we really need a speed,
because we don't have a speed threat on our practice squad. To be honest, I'm really surprised they didn't give Will Fuller a call.
Let's say, why don't we give one of those vets a try? We don't need you for long term, or we don't need you. This isn't a 5-year contract. Come have a good year. You have a good quarterback that's going to throw you the ball. Let's go get a speed guy, Will Fuller. I would love Odell. That's just a personal. I think he's great. I think he plays speed well.
I think he's still injured. I think he is a ways from coming back. I mean, the ACL thing happened in
February. It's been
February. Think of it like this. Hunter Henry in April tore his ACL and didn't return until the final 2 games of the season.
In December. Yeah.
So I don't think Odell's healthy right now.
No, but, I mean,
I
those
love
are the guys
I
we-
love Odell for the player that he is, but I think that you're looking for a true speed threat. Will Fuller is a 4.3 type of guy who had some of his best plays playing under Deshaun Watson as kind of that speedy threat with Houston. So Will Fuller might be a guy there to take a look at.
That's why not though? But why are we going after these guys that aren't gonna play? Like this guy isn't.
Let me look at your face, man. This is so weird. Staring at your chest.
Boltup. No, I'm sorry. I was searching on my work computer. I was searching something on my computer. I was searching something on my computer. My bad. But like why are we going after this guy? He's not gonna play. He's not gonna make the squad. Why even waste a?
I think he's going to be a guy that kind of does the same thing that Jalen Guyton was doing, playing 2 snaps a game and just being the deep threat that take you downfield. And it's not even to throw him the ball; it's to make the coverage back up. Right? The speed threat is just not part of this offense. It's not part of Lombardi's. I mean, you go back to the Saints. How many legit speed threats do they have, and how many times do they throw their way? It's all about taking the top off the defense so you can play the game underneath, which is Keenan Allen. And when you're taking the deep shots, you're going Mike Williams. You're going for the contested catch, right? Box him out and let him have.
Black and white with that, though.
But it's part of Lombardi's scheme. Lombardi's scheme focuses on spacing concepts and taking the shots when the defense comes up. That's the whole scheme. Really, like it's more complicated than that. But that's kind of the scheme, right? Is like, let's space people out. Let's get them in between zones. If they're going to play man coverage, we're going to have Keenan Allen just embarrass them on that type of stuff. And if you look at the players on this offense, you look at Mike Williams and you look at Josh Palmer, they're possession catch type of guys. They're box you out and overpower you to get those. Still in spacing concepts. And Mike Williams really excelled in it last year. Where one of the things that I have noticed that we don't do a whole lot of is we don't run a whole lot of drags, run and catch. There's no rack receiver on this offense, and the offense is not designed to have that type of thing. And the only player we have even similar to that is DeAndre Carter.
Yeah, and he's 31 years old, not pushing that speed anymore.
I mean, I still think that he's pushing enough speed. I don't think he's 31 either. I think he's a little younger than that. He's on his first contract away from his rookie. I think he's like 26 or 27.
You know who's our best rack?
Austin Eckler.
Our best rack guy is not non-existent this year. 0 touchdowns after scoring 20 last year. You have one of the best receivers who plays running back on your team. And how many catches does he have this year, Tyler?
He's got catches. No. He's got catches, but how much are they breaking? Like Austin Eckler's got some catches. I'm gonna go find it for you right now.
He's 29. Sorry, DeAndre Carter's 29, not 30. Sorry.
But Austin Eckler has been being used in the run game, but he's not been getting used in space.
He's not because they're not threatened anywhere else. So they're keeping people in the box, keep people down low.
And they just rallied to him. Let's see.
Here's the
thing. 4.98. Okay.
So he's been getting, especially the last 2 weeks, 9 and 8. That's a pretty good stat line.
How many yards does he have?
That's been the issue.
And
436, 955, 848. So he's getting. They're just rallying to him because there's no one in his. There's too many people in his zone when he gets the ball.
Here's the thing.
They're all been dump offs. So the screen games have not been working very well. Mm-hmm. And if you look at how we used him in his second year and in his third year, we split him out wide a couple times. We took him deep a few times.
Let him run routes too. Like he's a good route runner. Like. Get him some designed RB. Go ahead, Gabby.
My biggest question. So you said, this is a part of Lombardi's scheme. The, zones.
It is. It's part of his scheme.
But when's the last time Chargers have had a speedy receiver? True speed receiver. Can you tell me?
Yeah.
Can you tell me?
He took a punt back for a safety.
Oh, yeah, Travis Benjamin. Okay, we'll go with him. I mean,
Travis Benz.
True, like.
Eddie Royal was a speedy receiver too,
but they weren't our. He wasn't our. I mean,
we got them at the end of their careers too, so tailing off.
I would love to have a Jameson Williams.
I think it's like, yes, you're correct in the
I've been
sense
drinking a little bit. My bad.
you're right in the sense of, this is Lombardi's scheme, but like we gotta play a little different. Gotta open
We
it up.
just don't have the players to play different, though. That's the thing.
But
The
we
scheme was
have-
built around what we have on the roster.
we have
We
opportunities.
wanted to get
now.
them.
We have opportunities now. We have an open roster spot, receivers out. Let's go get a veteran that can run a 4-3. You run drags or run the slot, run something.
I just don't think it's going to happen this
It
year.
won't.
I think
No, it
it's
won't.
one of those things where the scheme was built on the players on the roster.
Well, then we're gonna go next year. We're gonna go draft a fast receiver in the 6th or 7th round, then cut him or put him on a practice squad.
Well, that's the other issue, right? Is how much are you paying to the wide receiver room? So,
You're spending
and
a lot of
then
money
you're looking,
already.
and we can get way more in depth about next season's acquisitions way later when we're not on week 4. But
we got a season to play still.
yeah, we still got a season to play.
We're
and
not tanking
going
for Bryce
after
Perkins.
we're not going to go after any high name free agents right now. I think right now we're trying to band-aid all the issues we're having right now by bringing in Derek Tolska from Pittsburgh, who just got cut from Tennessee. He has a little bit of familiarity in the scheme. Brandon Staley coached him with the Broncos. Well, actually, same scheme, different team. I don't think he was there with the Broncos. It doesn't matter. My point is, I just don't think that we are in the market for any high-profile free agents.
Oh no, but I'm not talking about a long-term deal though either. I'm just talking about, look, we're trying to piece our team together. Sometimes you got to go. Like, what about, honestly, I'll throw it out to Deshaun Jackson. I'll take Deshaun.
I'm good with Deshaun. I think
As
Deshaun.
That's a name.
Look at how Deshaun left the Raiders. Left for the Raiders. He left a Super Bowl team. Like, he could have a ring right now. Like, let's talk about that.
I don't know if I want
He was
to bring
with the
him.
Rams, and then he was threw a fit because he wasn't being utilized the way he wanted to be. I don't want that type of player on my. Be a team player.
I think
You
it'd
can
be more
have a ring right
detrimental
now.
too, especially where you got a young roster, you got a young coach, you got a lot of young introverted captains of this team, right? I just don't know that personality would mesh very well.
We're getting off subject here. Let's finish off on this Texans. What do you think is the key? I'm gonna ask you, Zach. I'm gonna ask you, Gabby. I'll give you some time to think about it, Gabby. What do you think is the key to winning this game? And give me your final score prediction.
I mean, the key to me is refinding our identity, and I think there's a lot of, obviously the injuries hurt, but I don't know. We need to find ourselves, and I think that's step one. To me, you got to go back. Keenan's hurt. He's moving his way back into the rotation. We got to find a way to get Eckler more involved, and I know they're trying. The dump offs is not where he thrives. I feel like we have a very, very good player that we are not utilizing to his full potential in Austin Eckler. Get that man moving. Watch in the preseason. Every time the running backs had a good drive, that offense capped it off with a score. Josh Kelly was rolling. Isaiah Spiller was doing real well in that preseason, and the offense was scoring points after it. To me, the key is getting our running backs going. I'm really not sold on Sonny Michel. I thought Joshua Kelly had a fantastic offseason. I would love to see some more Kelly snaps. But to me, it's the running back room needs to get going, needs to get involved beyond just running the football. These guys are athletes. These guys are football players. You can do more than just hand off the ball. I want to see the running back room be a big emphasis on this game plan because I don't think the Texans have a great defense, but I think that is a big key to the Lombardi offense when you don't have that speed threat is some, just what is the word? Not being so just
conservative.
You need another element to it. Right now it's just short passing, and so you need another element. To me, short passes to the running backs are a lot different than a short pass to a receiver just because of where they're oriented on the field. And so I want to see a big emphasis on getting our running backs going because I think that opens us up. If we don't have the deep shot, we don't have the deep shot, but at least get these guys close to the quarterback, the ball, let them go make some plays because I think Austin Eckler has it in him. I think Joshua Kelly deserves some more snaps. I really want to see this running back room get it together this week because I think it just opens up everybody else, that entire offense. It alleviates the pressure off the offensive line. It alleviates the pressure from Justin Herbert to make fantastic contested throws. And then it lets these receivers run some routes where it's going to open everything up. Get the running backs involved. That's my key.
Gabby, what? Oh, wait, I need a final score projection.
So they have not scored more than 22 points this season. I'm holding them to 20. We're scoring. It's our showout game. I got 34-20. Let me see it. I need it. Give it to me.
All right, Gabby, give me the keys to the game. How do you beat the Texans?
I think it's going to come down to two things. Slayer at left tackle, starting. If he comes out that first drive and plays well, I think the rest of the team is going to be like, look, they're going to take a deep breath, like, okay. Because Pipkins can hold his own. Is Pipkins the greatest in the world? No. Has he gotten better from last year? I would say so. And I would say that with what he's done and us trusting him, he's fine. So if Slayer comes in and just,
Salyer.
Sorry.
I know. I want Slater in there as well.
No. Salyer. He gets in there and just sets it. First pass that, just go and block, just stay tight. I think the rest of the team's going to rally around him. Like, all right, we're good. Justin can throw. Eckler can run. Let's play football. Because the man's good at football. He didn't go to a bad school. Played on a good team. And I think he's going to come out. I think he's going to come out ready to go. I think they hit a run block first. I think first play will be a run play. He's going to go downfield and he's going to take his lineman all the way down. And I think there, Eckler's going to get a 5-yard gain or something like that. Boom, we're running. Then on the other side, what's up?
No, I'm just going to say, I think that's a big thing right now we're missing is confidence in the other guy next to you. I feel like there's a lot of
getting hurt, and it's like, oh man, like, God, I got to play. I got to do double now. Like, Filer's stats look like crap. Ever since Corey went down, Filer looked like crap. He's not.
Filer has not played well at all.
He looked
especially in the run game.
He looked okay in the Raiders game, but then it's also because he has a lot of help from Corey. And I think when he went down, I think
Philo Nichols played really, really well.
He did
because of Filer. Filer, whatever it is, I think part of it is the injury definitely to Corey Linsley. And I've watched some Will Clapp tape. There's just a misconnection. I think some of it falls on Will Clapp not helping in the run game, especially because the Chargers like to run a lot of running zone plays.
Yeah.
And I think that Clapp needs to help him a little bit on some things. But there have been players getting into the backfield preventing our running back from picking up yards because Filer, and it's actually gone on to Zion a little bit. I think Zion's played actually better than Filer has to date. But I just think there's some miscommunication, and I don't think some of it is him, but I just don't think that the Chargers' run game confidence as an offensive line is there.
No, and that's why I'm saying if he comes out, plays well, and, Corey's back, hopefully, more than likely they said. Corey's back. He comes out, plays left tackle well. We get a big run play, a big pass play on the first play. I think everyone's going to say, all right, cool. And then on the other side, I think the biggest thing is going to be the defense, just hitting somebody in the mouth. We got hit in the mouth last year by the Texans. We got hit last week by the Jaguars. I want to see like a Derwin blitz off the edge, start the game, big sack, we're back. Because this team prides off each other. They're a big bounce. If defense is quiet, offense is quiet. So I think if that defense, whoever comes out first and plays well, I think that game will take off. If they come out flat again, I think it's gonna stick with them. They're gonna play like crap the rest of the game.
Give me a score prediction.
31-14.
31-14.
Yeah,
I like that.
confidence.
That's kind of what we need.
I think we're gonna come out strong. Here's my theory: we're gonna come out strong. We'll put 21 up, and then we're gonna do what we do just a little better and put up 10 more in the second half, but make sure they don't score. But I think we're gonna come out hot. I really do.
I'm super glad that you actually brought up Jamaree Salyer because I wanted to talk about him. Sorry about the
So do
dog.
your dogs.
Just go with it. All right. So Jamaree Salyer has a show out this next year. Let's say he just takes over that left tackle position and he's the guy for the next year.
No.
Let's just say it happens, right?
I mean, how?
I know your next
Okay.
question. I know
I'm
your
rocking with you. I'm rocking with
For
you.
the rest of this year, he is
He's
our left
amazing.
tackle because Slater's out for the year. He's done.
Okay. I'm with you now.
You have a legitimate guy to go and take over at the right tackle next season.
Yeah.
You don't have to wait on Storm Norton to try to develop. You don't have to see he's in a contract year, Trey Pipkins. You don't have to continue to experiment with that. He takes over as your right tackle. You might have something there, and he's under contract for the next 3 seasons. That's something to really monitor and think about as this season progresses, is how does he play at left tackle, knowing that he's got familiarity playing at tackle, playing at guard. You can move him around. A guy who shut out Aiden Hutchinson, eliminated him from the game plan, played really good against Alabama, played really good against some of the best. I mean, you look at Georgia's defense last year, he went into practice every day against those boys.
Trayvon Walker, Devin Lloyd.
Who's the
other?
Not Devin Lloyd.
The DN.
Nakobe Dean. I mean, you look at if he was playing guard in practice, he was going up against defensive tackle drafted 16. Jordan Davis.
Jordan Davis.
He
and
played
another
against
DN that was drafted in the first round too.
Yeah, they are nuts.
Another linebacker, Channing Tindall.
But who's on opposite side of trade? It doesn't matter. He played against some dogs as a bulldog.
Every day.
I think Alusha Alari was a bulldog as well. I
think he was
this
there the
guy
season before, yeah.
Has been playing against the best defense in college football for at least 3 seasons.
And I'm looking
at multiple positions on the offensive line, and he's held his own. It's insane that he dropped to the 6th round. So
I'm looking at his size, and he is not that big. He's a good size.
He's thick though. If you look at him, he's not lanky,
but he's 6'4",
he is thick.
320. That's not bad.
That's not bad at all. So if he's already played against his competition, you can kind of refine some of the issues that made him drop, which is going to be some of his technique. He's not lanky. Rashawn Slater isn't lanky either. Right?
He's only 10 pounds heavier than Rashawn.
He's heavier than Rashawn, but he doesn't have arm length, right? Which is part of the reason why. And then the other thing is he's just technique-wise, he's just not very well refined, which is why he dropped so far. If those things get fixed and developed this year, we have our right tackle for the future. And I don't think people are really thinking about that. That could be huge if he takes this on and just impresses the coaching staff. Worst case scenario, he takes over from Matt Filer, and Matt Filer becomes a cap casualty.
I would love to put, if we can get Trey as our swing, bye Storm. That's a great position, especially with the position versatility of Matt Filer, of Jamaree Salyer. That gives you so much. That would give us so much
there
depth
is
across
so
the
much
line,
to look forward to with Jamaree
had.
Salyer playing offensive tackle for the rest of the year. And if he really looks good, he could be a starter at multiple positions on the offensive line for the next 3 years. There's so much to look forward to if that ends up happening and come to fruition. So I'm really excited to see Jamaree Salyer play offensive tackle, left tackle, blindside blocker for Justin Herbert. It's a big task to take on, and I'm ready to see it.
I want the Brendan James experiment.
We'll talk about that on another podcast.
I need him.
We'll talk about that on another podcast. The last thing I wanted to talk about, because we're running out of time, the last thing I wanted to talk about, get it out, Gabby. Just spit it out.
That's the only thing, look, if Filer keeps playing bad and Jamaree plays well, why not give it the experiment? It can't play much worse, can he?
I mean, this guy was inactive for most of the season last year. It's got to be a practice thing. You got to see it in practice. There's something we're not seeing there. To the point where Jamaree Salyer left him. James has a whole year under his belt, and Salyer was the decision to go to left tackle. And James played tackle in college. So the coaching staff, if I trust my coaching staff, and I do 100%, I don't care what anyone says. I know people are to call him for heads on the chopping block. I'm trusting the coaching staff's decision. The last thing I'm going to talk about, my prediction. So the Texans have the absolute worst run defense.
Love that.
They have allowed through 3 games 600 yards on the ground. Wow. Wow, that's something like that's hard to do.
Smells like opportunity.
Smells like opportunity to me as well. They have allowed 607 yards on the ground. They're averaging 5.6 yards per carry against opposing rushers. I think this is a great game to go and test out the run game and get it going. Build some momentum, build something up there. You've got a rookie running back who is yet to see any carries this season. You got Austin Eckler, who's been struggling. You've got an offensive line who needs to build some confidence. This is a great game to get your run game going, figure it out. And if you're really able to get out to a big lead in a hurry, you can test that run game quite a bit. So that is something I'm looking forward to. To give you an idea of how bad this Texans run defense has been, 607 yards through 3 games. The next closest team is the Bears, 471. Wow. In 3 games, they've allowed 130 more carries or more rushing yards to opposing team. Like, that's insane. Like, that's insane. What is going on there? Like, this is the game to get that on track.
Aren't we the lowest rushing game right now?
Do we have the worst rushing offense?
I think statistically we have the worst rushing offense in the NFL. So this is
the
game
most
of
rushing. The Chargers have 177 rushing yards through 3 games. That is the worst. Next is the Dolphins at 192.
So we have 32.
So why not test it out?
Yeah, we're both at 32 of something. This is the game of pride and effort. We got to come out, run the damn ball down their damn throats, and play football. As you said, play football. Yeah. As you said, Zach, like we need to have football players come play football. We are the worst. They are the worst.
This is the time to test it out.
Who's going to nut up and play
worst
football?
Rushing offense, worst rushing defense. Figure it out.
Someone's going to make the one you figure it out.
And that's a good. I mean, that leads. I don't know. That's a good. I think good opportunity for us because what we were talking about the biggest discrepancy of last game was time of possession. Running the football helps that significantly. So let's get that rolling. Come on.
Let's get the run game going, and it's going to open up so much for the offense if you're able to do it. Even next week, I don't know who we're playing next week. If they see us running the ball hard and well, they're gonna have to game plan for it. It's too early in the season for any team to go and be like, oh, they're terrible through 3 games when the Chargers were playing from behind by 30 points last week, right? Like, you get it together this week, it's going to open up the rest of the offense, but they're running out of time. They have to make it soon because if they don't, it's going to become an issue for the rest of the season. And then you're looking at this offense. Yeah, Rashawn Slater is going to be out. Corey Linsley has been out. There's reasons why we've had issues in the run game, but how do you fix it next year with Filer, Zion Johnson, Corey Linsley, and Rashawn Slater on the roster next year? You're probably going to run it back with those same 4 exact guys next season. How do you fix it? Because you're not going to replace those guys. Maybe Filer, maybe Pipkins, but that's not been the entire issue. We got to get it figured out this week. We got to become a threat on the ground because I'm afraid how the rest of the season is going to go. I love Justin Herbert breaking passing records. I don't want him to do it because he has to.
Yeah. The amount of times I've heard Justin Herbert is a glorified game manager since I've lived here, I hate hearing
I don't want to hear that. That's not
well, and it comes from this. Like our games where we win by 3 or lose by 10 when we're winning by 4.
It's true though.
As you're saying, I don't want to see him win all these.
Justin Herbert's made enough like with the rib injury, throwing that to DeAndre Carter right after, like that was.
I fight it, but here's the thing: is
he's a gamer.
you're saying that because I always bring up the stats, and they're like, okay, what about the wins? And I'm like, well, you're not wrong.
Look at the rest of the roster.
It's a team
Well, I'm
sport.
saying,
I hate that.
Yeah,
I'm
I
okay
hate
with
that as well.
I'm okay with Herbert getting the records, as you're saying, Tyler, but not because he has to throw the ball because we can't run. We need to come out and run the damn ball.
Let's put 500 yards of offense up every game. Was that cool with everybody? 40 points, 500 yards. Are we good with that?
I'm pretty sure.
Zach, closing remarks. Give me your closing remarks.
It's very simple for me. Bring back my fandom. Last week hurt. I watched all 4 quarters. I didn't want to. Let me be excited about Charger football again because it doesn't take much. One big play, I'm back. I want to get excited for Charger football because I'm coming down October 17th to watch this Monday night football game. I want to be excited. I'm going to be there, win, lose, or tie. But give me something to be excited about, Chargers.
That's the Broncos game, right?
Mm-hmm.
You're coming to another game, right?
I'm going to go to the Chiefs game, the Sunday night Chiefs game later in November also.
All right. I'll see you around for that. Gabby.
Yes, sir.
Gabby, closing remarks. Give me your final thoughts.
I just want to enjoy. I want them to find that spark they did last year when we run that little run.
So
Find
contagious.
that spark. Find that, I want to, oh, yes, that first quarter, big Herb throw to Mike Williams on the field, go down and score. If we open this week with a touchdown, I'm going to be in Jamaica running on I'm watching this game on the sand in Jamaica. I'm going to be running in a circle.
Forgot about that.
Throwing the bird up to everybody we're back. I will know. You'll know. I think as Chargers fans, the old Chargers, when they're going to do something special, when they're going to have a day. And I think if they got to bring that back to the Charger base and all these, I don't want to say fake fans because it'll hurt people's feelings. But
we'll take them. We'll take them.
They called for the head of Staley because he's had a rough start. You're going to be fine. We're going to win some football games. I'm excited. It's going to be fun.
I'm going to close out. I have no fear that Chargers are going to win this game. I was afraid last week for the Jaguars, and I was right. I said that the Chargers were going to lose that game, and I called it. So I'm going to bring it back to some Padres baseball. I was at the game last night.
Yes.
And what a walk-off.
Walk-off walk?
Walk-off walk. I'll take it. That's
done.
Definitely a win in my book. I will say, and I got to talk about it at least a little bit. I come out. I've got 2 beers and I've got 4 Puesto tacos, and I'm walking to my seat and I sit down, right? And first batter up was Trey Turner, right? Trey Turner hits a foul ball. And this foul ball is coming right at me. And I've got a nice, juicy taco in my hand. And I'm sitting here and I'm biting into it. And I see it coming up. And it's coming right at me. And I'm thinking, man, I just need to reach out and grab this thing. This is mine. But I've got these 2 beers. I've got $80 of food and drinks sitting on my lap.
It's an investment.
And all I had to do was reach my hand out, just stand up. That's all I just needed a good 2 feet. And this ball is mine. But I've got $80 sitting on top of me. So I let it go. And this ball flies right into this woman's knee. She is sitting one seat in front of me, 1 seat to the right of me. And it hits her in the knee. And her knee was about 4 times the size of a normal knee after it hit her knee. And then I got to sit through the next 2 innings with the medical staff sitting there tending to her ruptured tendons in her knee. I have no idea if that actually happened, but I will say I'm not mad that I did not get up to catch that ball because I would have lost $80 of food and drinks on me, and that ball was not worth it. No. But I will say I do feel sorry for her knee because that thing looked so gross. It was purple and black, and it was disgusting. And I felt so bad for her because she left after the 3rd inning, and she had to be carted away. They brought a wheelchair up to the area, and they put her on that wheelchair and they wheeled her out. But she had to get carried up the stairs. I got these seats for free from my manager. Super awesome. If you're listening to this, thank you so much for those tickets. But man, I could have had that ball in my hands. I was so close to it. If I would have reached my hand out, I was about a foot away. and it's just insane. So the Padres are this close to claiming that wild card spot.
That's the point you're trying to make.
Left in the series.
Where does this go?
I'm ecstatic. Let's freaking go.
I'm so happy, but the only thing I hate is when we play at home because it is 2 hours ahead here. They play their damn first pitch at 7:17.
It went into the 10th inning, and it ended at like 11 o'clock at night.
Yeah, so I'm in bed by 9 o'clock.
1 a.m. That's a.
There's been nights.
You're not a true fan, though.
There's been nights where I'm laying on my bed, laying in bed like this, watching the game. Like, I want to go to bed, but we're winning.
All right. Thank you guys so much for listening.
Give up late runs at the end and cost me.
We're bringing the energy.
Thank you so much for listening. Thank you for showing up the Boltup sign. Let me see it one more time, Gabby. Thank you so much for joining. We'll talk to you guys next week after we blow out the Texans. Over and out.